the first card you have for your past is the Eight of Wands. So this is a card of action, communication, everything else. I am seeing a lot of communication in this card, a lot of talking. I'm not getting a very good feeling around this, sorry to say. I think maybe someone might have been insisting that you understood their point of view or something like that. And I don't think it was just that. I think, they weren't just wanting you to hear them. It was more like they were trying to insist on you agreeing with them. It's like, I'm right, you have to agree, with something like that. And, of course you weren't going to just agree with things, especially if you didn't agree with them. And I think, I think this is someone who you might be in a relationship with, or you were, and you are just having this backward and forward argument. And I think in your more distant past, you might have gone backwards and forwards with them a lot of times. You have this backwards and forwards, trying to get them to see your point of view as well. And I think you were like, no, this is my point of view, I'm right, you have to listen to me. But I think by this time you'd had so many of these kind of backwards and forwards arguments, you're probably just a bit exhausted, and you're just like, well, whatever, I don't care now. And yeah, I just don't think you cared. I just don't think you cared by this stage. You didn't care whether they understood your point of view or not. I think it just got to the stage where you just felt as if, there was just nothing either of you could say that would make you feel any different or that. It was like, they're where they are, you're where you are, and you don't even care whether they agree or not. And I think, you're just over things. I'm getting that feeling of just, I'm over this now, I'm over it. And this was a mental shift. Maybe you hadn't physically moved away from this person at this time yet, but yeah, you definitely moved on mentally, I can see that. And that doesn't mean you were cold or that you didn't feel hurt. I think you were feeling a lot of hurt. I think it was very difficult, this mental shift, and you kind of had to emotionally shift with that mental shift, if that makes sense. And I think, I am seeing you probably just looking into the future at this time and imagining the same fight or whatever this was repeating itself over and over and over again, with nobody ever getting anywhere, going on forever and ever. And, they weren't able to reach you with their words. That's what I'm seeing. They weren't able to reach you with their words anymore. They used to be able to, they can't now. If you look at the wands on this card, they're kind of they are flying through the sky. And there's a little house on this card, just at the bottom on the left-hand side. It's tiny, up on a hill. It's a home. And I think you used to be this person's home. You used to be home for them. That's what you used to represent to them. But now their wands aren't reaching you. Their words are not reaching home. They're not reaching you. They're going over you. They're going all over the place, but they're not reaching you. You just do not want to be there anymore. You are not going to sit there and have their words come to you anymore, because they don't mean anything anymore to you. I know that sounds hard. That's what I'm seeing. The next card you have for your past is the Two of Pentacles. Yeah. Again, this is going backwards and forwards in this conversation and getting really, really tired of it and fed up with it. I think some of this conversation might have happened over text or maybe messages on social media. I think part of it was face-to-face, but I think part of it wasn't, because there aren't any people in the Eight of Wands. So these are just wands, messages going backwards and forwards. And yeah, this card is about this conversation, again, going backwards and forwards. And I think after a while, you just thought something like, who cares what they think of me? Who cares if they understand or agree or whatever? What's the point? I don't care. And again, you have a history of these kinds of clashes with them. I'm just looking at the two ships behind this man on this kind of rocky sea, and they're about to crash. And, you were just tired of crashing. You were tired of this crashing, juggling like this man, trying to keep this connection going. You'd already put so much work into this, I think, and you're just exhausted. You were putting a lot of work in, trying to kind of appease them and all of this. Not now, but I think in your past, you're always kind of there to kind of listen to what they had to say and kind of appease this person. But they weren't listening to what you had to say. They really were not. And so this is what I'm seeing, this kind of one-sided thing, and you just had enough of it. Two people have to work at things, not just one. Look at how imbalanced this card is. That's another thing that this card's about. So I think, your life was imbalanced with this person, and it was just time for you to get that balance back for yourself. Now, this is what you had to do, but of course, yeah, it hurt. Of course it hurt. Of course it did. So the last card you have for your past is the Ace of Swords. So yeah, this is the clarity card. This is what you're getting. You're getting clarity. You're seeing clarity. It was like, I've come to the realization that there's no point in even having a conversation. That's it. There's no point. And I think, yeah, I think you might have been trying to deliberately get some clarity for yourself as well. By that I mean you were trying to be by yourself. I think you were trying to, I don't know if you lived with this person, you might have been going into your own room, into a separate room, or you might have been moving out physically. I don't know if you'd actually properly moved out physically. I don't even know if you're living with this person, but if you were, that might have been what was happening. If you weren't, I think there are some physical moves that have to be made, some physical things so that you can break away from this person if you haven't already done that. But yeah, I think you really felt like, I want to be by myself. I want to get my head clear, get clarity into my head, and just be able to think without all of this backwards and forwards and yes, I'm right and no, you're wrong, and I just can't bear it anymore. I just need to be by myself. I'm also seeing writing. I don't know why. I know that sounds really strange, but that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing writing in this card. So maybe you were getting your thoughts down on paper, and that might have been giving you this clarity, kind of clearing your head out of the mess and getting clarity from that. Or it might be, again, I'm seeing a lot of practical things here. So you might have been writing lists and thinking about, what do I need to do to move here or to do that or to put that over there. It was that as well. So yeah, this is a really, really stressful past, really stressful. The first card you have your present is the Knight of Swords. Yeah, again, sorry about this. I'm not going to, I say sorry sometimes and people say, don't say sorry. And, and then they say this, say that. I'm just going to say what I want. So I think even though you're really determined to move forward, you're really determined to move forward out of all of this. I can see that now with this Knight of Swords. You're like rushing forward. I've had enough. I'm moving away from this. I've got my sword of clarity. I know where I'm going now. That's what I'm seeing. But you're still scared. Or you're still scared. This is in your present. You're scared. This is scary. Even though you know that you don't want to go through this backwards and forwards again, even though you know you want to move forward, you have to move forward, you need to move forward, it's still scary. It's still scary. That's what I'm seeing in this. And I think you might be keeping a lot of these scared feelings and all of these feelings to yourself. Now, you're a strong person, especially on the surface. You do have very deep feelings, you have very deep emotions, you have very soft emotions, loving emotions. But I don't think a lot of people get to see that side of you very often, especially around work. You're kind of a pillar of strength, if that makes sense. People look up to you as well. I'm actually seeing people telling you their problems. And I think you have, a combination of being no nonsense and straightforward. And also, you're also nurturing. It's an unusual kind of combination. Not many people have this combination. And maybe one reason why you might be keeping all of this to yourself might be because maybe deep down you actually feel a little bit ashamed that you'd put up with this situation and stayed in this situation for such a long time. And I'm not saying you did anything wrong. You know you haven't done anything wrong. It's just that you have this reputation for being strong and helping other people and advising other people. And I think that you might have thought, I'm advising these people. Who am I to advise them when I'm going through that? That's the sort of thing I'm seeing going through your head. But yeah, this is scary. The horse on this card, he's being forced to rush forward. And you know that this is what you want to do. You know this is what you need to do. You are doing it. But it's scary. Look at this horse. This horse looks really scared. He's being forced to push, to rush forward, to run forward, but he's so scared. And, you know, I think if this is all resonating, maybe you should open up to some people about this. Obviously, you need to be very discerning about who you speak to about all of this. But I think, you know, it might help you yeah, you know what I think? I think you should be the person who's getting for change instead of being the person who's giving all the time. That's what I think. So don't just give all the time. Be the person who's nurtured. Be the person who gets some help from some other people. So yeah, talk to someone. Find out who that is and talk to them. That's what I'm seeing in that card. The next card you have, your present, is the King of Cups. So yes, I know you already know this. And you are completely moving on. I can see that. Yeah, I'm just seeing, in the Two of Pentacles, there were these two ships and they were crashing on the waves, which is the stage you were at when you were still fighting or arguing with this person. But in this card, there's a ship by itself and it's sailing away behind this king. It's almost off the edge of this card. It's sort of sailing off the card. And I think this person who you're moving on from still feels a lot of emotion around this, but they're not showing it. This king's notoriously poker-faced. He doesn't like to show his emotions. And maybe this is just how they're coping. And you're coping in your way as well. You're struggling to open up to people. I can see that as well. But the other thing I'm seeing here is, yeah, I think this person might have been maybe not hiding things. Maybe they were, but maybe they had their eyes on some other people apart from you. I'm not seeing them acting on anything, but this king's eyes look as if they're really kind of moving from side to side when I'm looking at this. And sometimes when people are really, really insistent on you believing them, which is what I'm seeing happening in the Eight of Wands, it's because they're hiding something. If they're so insistent, believe me, believe me, believe me, I swear this, please, but you've got to believe. Sometimes this means that they are actually hiding something. Sometimes the more people protest, the more they're hiding. Not always, but sometimes. I'm not saying that this is definitely what's happening and that I know this is what's happening, but this is what I'm seeing here. I am seeing that. There might have been a few other problems around this connection that you weren't aware of. They might have been talking to other people. They might have been seeing other people, flirting with other people, something like that. I am seeing wandering eyes. And I don't want to make you feel paranoid. I'm accused of that sometimes in these readings. All I want to do is just point out what I'm seeing. And I am seeing some kind of wandering eyes and something like that. And you may or may not have realized that that was what was happening. So I'll move on to the next one. Yeah, the last card you have your present is the Four of Wands. So yeah, this is a kind of an extension of what I'm seeing in the Knight of Wands. Sorry, the Knight of Swords. I think this is just a time to nurture yourself and take care of yourself, offload, talk to people. This card can be about, well, it can be about a lot of things. It can be about marriage, it can be about family, celebrations, feeling welcome. It's a really, really positive card, obviously. I think this might be a message to you again, just to go somewhere where you feel comfortable and welcome, somewhere where you can just offload without having to worry about what people think of you. And, you know, somewhere where you can just do things like wrap yourself in a blanket on the sofa and just be around people who care about you and love you unconditionally. And I said this before, you need to be a taker for a while instead of always being the giver. And you're the strong one, and you have to kind of relax and stop being the strong one for a while. Just take a break. You know, maybe you could spend some time with some family members who you trust, if you're comfortable doing that, or just a close friend, or even if you don't have anyone near you who you can talk to, maybe just rest on your own on the sofa, call someone, text someone. I'm just getting this feeling that you really need to feel protected and safe again. I'm getting this feeling of wanting to be protected and safe. and you haven't felt like that for a long time, and it's time to feel like that. So give yourself this gift, protect yourself, care for yourself, just take care of yourself. That's what I'm seeing. So the first card you have for your future is the Six of Wands. So I think your confidence is definitely going to come back, but I think the rate it comes back, whether it comes back fast or slow, quickly or slowly, is going to depend on how long you've taken care of yourself, and obviously whether you have or you haven't. If you've taken care of yourself, your confidence is going to come back a lot faster. And if you're not, it's going to be slower. And I know you have to be strong. I know you have to be capable and put up a front sometimes, especially around the workplace. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I'm just seeing, speaking of work, I'm just seeing, I think there might be some recognition coming to you. I'm actually seeing a material thing. It might be an award. But if your workplace doesn't have things like that, not many do. I've never worked anywhere where there's anything like that. But it might be something like a bonus or a lunch out or something. It's definitely a thing. It's not just someone saying well done to you. It might not even be around your workplace. It might be around somewhere where you're volunteering, or you do something on the weekend, or it might be a group. But it's something you've worked on, or you're working on, or you have worked on, and you're getting recognition for that. And it's a thing. It's not someone saying something. Someone's going to give you something or take you out. It's going to be a thing. That's what I'm seeing. The next card you have for your future is the Ace of Wands. So yeah, you're definitely going to be moving forward quite quickly now. And this is practically as well as emotionally. You might even be moving, or it might be that you're moving things. I was seeing that in the Ace of Swords. You might be moving things out of one place into another place or something. I'm actually seeing boxes, and I'm seeing you being really busy, actually, sort of springing into action, doing lots of things, and that's fine, that's good. But be a bit careful to try to pace yourself a bit. You've been through so much emotionally, and these things can take a lot longer to get over than we realise sometimes. Even if you're thinking something like, I'm feeling fine, I'm so busy, everything's fine, I've got so much to do, I'm feeling okay. I mean, that's good, that's great. But try to slow down a bit and take rests. There's a danger of crashing, when you've been through something like this, and if you haven't gotten the proper rest and you're not pacing yourself, you can come crashing down again all of a sudden. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with busy. Of course, there's being busy. There's nothing wrong with getting things done. But if this is resonating with you, maybe think of this process as a bit of a marathon, not a sprint. Because working through something like this is a long process. And, when you're on a marathon, you run at a slow pace, you run at a consistent pace, and you stop and you have breaks and you have drinks and whatever. But, you still get there. You still get there in the end. Sorry if that sounds a bit cringy or obvious. That's just how I'm explaining this. I hope it isn't too crazy. But, I don't want you to suddenly, the key to this is, I don't want you to suddenly fall backwards emotionally. I don't want you to be going, I'm fine, I've got so much to do, and you're kind of masking your emotions with being busy, and then when that busyness stops, which will eventually, it has to eventually, then you come crashing down, and then it's even harder for you to pick yourself up again. So don't do that. Pace yourself, stop yourself. If you feel emotions, stop and feel them. Just take your time. That's what I'm seeing. I have to take that advice as well, because I've been through some horrible things, and I am pushing through so many things, these readings, my work, everything else. And I really need to stop, and I might actually do that after these readings. I might have a break. Yeah, the last card you have, this isn't about me, I'm sorry. The last card you have for your future is the Queen of Cups. So yeah, again, I think this is another message reminding you and me, I know I'm Aries, I'm not Taurus, but this is really kind of resonating with me too. Don't rush this process. Yeah, this queen's extremely emotional. She's the most emotional queen of all. I'm not suggesting that you run around crying or, with your heart on your sleeve all the time and crying and, screaming and whatever. Of course, I'm not suggesting that. But I can see that by this time, you will have a lot more energy, and maybe you'll be thinking something like, same as I'm seeing in the Ace of Wands, something like, oh, I'm better now, I'm better, I'm fine, I'm running around, I'm busy. And that's fantastic. But again, if you start experiencing emotional ups and downs again, just let them happen. Be calm about them. Say, well, this is part of the process. I'm going to experience that. It doesn't mean I'm back at the start again. It doesn't mean I'm back at square one and I'm really crying and stressed and horrible like I was. It doesn't mean that. It just means I'm going through a process and there are going to be ups and downs, and that's normal. When they come, try to feel those feelings. I know it's not easy, and just recognize them, live with them for a while, until you can just move on again. Because if you try to mask these feelings by being busy and running around, there's a danger that they're going to come back in a more forceful way. And then if you crash, you might not be able to pick yourself up again from a great, big, huge crash. Little crashes, little emotional ups and downs, you can pick yourself up from. But if you ignore those and push yourself, a big crash is going to come and you might not recover from that as easily. And again, I need to take that advice myself.